What's up guys, my name is Timbo and today we're going to talk about the elephant in the room. It's probably no secret now that Destiny 2's player base has dropped off a bit since release. And while I've seen quite a few videos talking about the facts and numbers, what I haven't really seen is anything made on the why of the situation. So that's exactly what I aim to do, to dissect all of this and discover the mystery behind Destiny 2's dying player population. Wait, wrong series. Destiny 2 launched extremely well with a peak at one point of 3.5 million players, but since then the count has been slowly dwindling with its current lowest as of October 19th at 1.5 million players. And you know, 1.5 million people isn't a bad number or anything, but when you look at this graph as a whole, that is 2 million fewer people playing Destiny 2 already. Okay, more than half of the population. So why is this? Well, there is actually quite a few factors contributing to this in my opinion, and I'm going to go over each and every single one with you. Before we get into specifics, I need to give some background knowledge about where this problem as a whole is stemming from. To some of you, this may seem a bit common sense, but I think it's necessary to include nevertheless. This is the internet we're dealing with. These issues don't have anything to do with any non-endgame activity. So for the sake of this video, we're only going to be looking at endgame activities because the decrease in population derives from these activities not doing their job. I'm sure there are some people out there who stop playing the game while in the middle of the campaign before reaching level 20, but this is a small minority compared to the 2 million people who left. Thus, a majority of players are leaving the game after beating it. And no matter how much you like or how much you hate Destiny, you can't deny this fact, because this graph, like my hips, don't lie. The first reason I want to bring to the surface may make you roll your eyes depending on who you are, but I don't care, I'm gonna say it anyway. Destiny 2 was designed for casual gamers. It is a casual game trying to appeal to the most amount of people possible. And a casual gamer, be it that they don't have enough time or desire or whatever, will not play a game like Destiny as long as a hardcore player would. They will stop before they achieve every goal, discover every nook and cranny, earn each exotic piece of loot, and unlock every piece of grimoire. Oh wait, Destiny doesn't have that. This isn't me hating on casual players or saying that Destiny 2 sucks because it's trying to appeal to many people and make a lot of money. All I'm saying is that Tommy Two Thumbs won't play as long as Dado Wado. So when Destiny sells their game to a ton of casuals, a lot of them will quit playing once they've felt they've experienced everything the game has to offer for the time being. But you and I most likely aren't casual Destiny players. How do I know that? Because you're watching this video. An average casual person in my mind won't follow the game religiously like you and I do by watching videos, ranting on forums, stuff like that. Now while that explanation is pretty flaccid, there are some others that will probably hit home more with those of you watching this video. The main reason as to why people have stopped playing Destiny 2, it might be the reason why you stopped, if you have, is a lack of incentive. People have stopped playing the game because players have been left sitting here with the question, what's the point of doing this? And eventually many of them have come to the conclusion, oh wait, ellipsis, there is none. Unlike in Destiny 1, there is little to zero incentive to participate in any of the endgame activities. Let's start with the raid. The raid in Destiny 1 was the big chalupa, okay? The final countdown. Entry into the Vault of Glass was the desire of all players, the backing force for their grind to light level 26 and above. And back then, the raid was the one and only way to reach level 30, not only by gear but by upgrades as well, by being the most efficient way to earn ascendant materials, which were essential for upgrades. And if you're wondering why I put the definition on the screen, it's because I'm assuming people that didn't play Destiny 1 might be very lost. Yes, in Destiny 1 you had to do this thing called upgrading your gear. Pretty crazy, I know, I might just blow your mind. And in Destiny 2, this is the extent of character builds. Ooh, progression. The original raids were also where one could find the best weapons, elemental primaries such as the Fatebringer, Vision of Confluence, and the Vex Mythoclast. All of these factors made the raid relevant and made it relevant for a long time. People who wanted to get to the max light, to get the best gear and weapons, and to upgrade that loot had to do it through the raid on both normal and hard difficulty. Was the system perfect? No. Having one and only one way to literally get everything desirable in the game isn't necessarily fair. And while I don't agree with the participation prize loot that we see in Destiny 2, I do think that the average Joe should be able to get some cool stuff without completing the raid. I think it should be a difficult task, but it can be open to more than one activity. The problem is that Destiny 2 has gone in the complete opposite direction towards the other extreme. and their numbers are paying because of it. Now in Destiny 2, there is 0 point in doing the raid, especially if we're talking the prestige mode. Not only are there so much more ways to get gear at the maximum power level other than the raid, but these methods are also faster and easier. There is no metaphorical Fatebringer in the Leviathan Raid. Nothing so good you have to do the raid over and over again just to get it. The gear, there's nothing special about it. It looks cool, but the perks don't matter because there's nothing noteworthy or raid specific about them anymore. What's even worse is the prestige mode of the raid. You're still going to be getting tokens as rewards, thus getting normal mode loot when you turn them in. There aren't prestige mode raid weapons. The exotic for the raid and its quest is so much easier and less creative than it has been in the past. There has been no power level increase from normal to prestige mode. The gear itself hasn't changed at all, it's just been painted a different color and given a different name. You also don't receive both normal and hard mode gear when you do it on the prestige difficulty. Why do something harder when all you're getting out of it is a stinking one-time use shader? It's like they're avidly trying to get people not to play the raid, to not play their game. The only point in doing the raid is just because. That's it. You get nothing else out of it. And doing things for no reward is not something people in a loot-based game are gonna wanna do, especially when there are, like I said, many easier and faster ways to get to the maximum power level of 305. So the raid clearly doesn't have the sticking power that it needs to have because Bungie hates us, I guess. I don't know, but the explanation of they hate their core players makes more sense to me than, yeah, we were just too lazy and forgot to implement features that have been in the game for 3 years already. Just saying. It's because of this, a lack of incentive, a lack of sustainable rewards, worthwhile loot in the raid, that some people have stopped playing Destiny 2. But other than that, what else is there? All of these reasons sort of go in tandem with one another, but the next aspect of Destiny 2 I want to touch on are strikes. I'll probably get through this part pretty fast because it suffers from many of the same problems that the raid does, meaning certain features that added longevity to Destiny 1 have been cut from D2 for seemingly no apparent reason. No more specific loot to strive for, no heroic playlist with modifiers to spice up the gameplay anymore, no more currency such as legendary or vanguard marks to earn in order to buy certain pieces of gear anymore, just tokens upon tokens upon tokens, leading to the Vegas slot machine way of getting loot every single time. You had this with many people being upset with the current difficulty level of the Nightfall, the Prestige Nightfall running into the same issues the Prestige Raid has, nearly identical, now monotonous mechanics in numerous boss encounters, and you have yourself a watered down version of strikes, an activity that played a huge role in the endgame for Destiny 1, being a great way to collect consumables, materials, currencies, and gear you couldn't farm or find anywhere else that have now been erased from Destiny. But guys, even with this being true, there is still one thing in particular that plays a bigger role into the player-based depletion than anything else I've said before in this video, and that is the loot system. Bungie hands you too much loot too fast, and the loot received just isn't special in any way. There are two things in regards to loot that have changed going from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2, those being the rarity / frequency of loot and the power / impact upon receiving it. A player is going to stop playing a game like Destiny once they feel like they've achieved everything there is to achieve. So if you look at this graph again, a massive dip in the player population isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's actually what Bungie wants to happen. On numerous occasions they've mentioned how they want Destiny to be a game where you play it while it's relevant and new, but then you put it down, play some other games, and then come back to it when more content is added. And you know what? This isn't a bad method at all. I actually really like it. But you see, this isn't what is necessarily happening with Destiny 2 at the moment for many people. They don't feel as if they've achieved everything they want to achieve. They're leaving during events like Faction Wars and Iron Banner when the game is still supposed to be relevant. It all happened too fast because it was too easy. There's no point in playing anymore. The game throws legendary loot at you left and right. It gives you non-stop duplicates of exotics. This not only makes these items less rare, it makes a player less excited to get them and thus less motivated to collect them all, and the obvious one, gets the player faster through the content than ever before. It's not really all that complicated. You give players better loot faster, they'll hit the maximum power faster. And when you disincentivize doing endgame activities such as the raid, then you'll have people stop playing. The other aspect is the power of this loot being given away to everyone and their mom. Destiny 2 doesn't have a Galahorn or a Fatebringer or a Hawkmoon. There's no piece of loot that is famously sought after that people keep playing the game just in hopes of finally receiving it. Bungie in so many aspects of their game has dumbed down PvE content in rigorous attempts to balance the Crucible experience. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn here or anything, but this is a topic I've brought up time and time again in videos, dating back to before Destiny 2 ever even came out. You can click the icon at the top right corner if you'd like to watch them, but Bungie clearly doesn't want to separate the two, so it looks like this is how things will be. Balance comes at a cost. I don't hate the Crucible's inclusion. I don't want it to go anywhere. I love Trials. I love the Iron Banner every time it came around in Destiny 1. But when you look at the current state of the game, when you look at these numbers, this is what has happened to the game when you eliminate powerful weapons and gear in a game that's all about getting powerful weapons and gear, in a game that's all about collecting, in a game that's all about progression. And probably the most ironic thing about all of this is that Bungie went through all of this trouble making changes to their entire game in attempts to balance PvP, and look at the players leaving the game faster. And in terms of gear, they've really dumbed that down too for whatever reason. You know, I never thought I'd live to say this out loud, but if you just look at the Division, I think I just threw up in my mouth a little bit there. Hold on. The gear set system that game had, being able to stack pieces to add perks into a full set or mix and match between them for an optimal build, was a superb idea, and one that can so easily fit into Destiny's loot system. It's asking to be put in this game. The Vanguard gear's perks don't apply to strikes. The Crucible gear won't help you in the Crucible. The raid weapons and gear don't have perks that help you in the raid anymore. Why didn't they add to this? It makes no sense. Like, at least keep it the same. Why take it away? Seriously, who was complaining about Oracle Disruptor? When you take all of this into consideration, it's very easy to see why so many players have stopped playing Destiny 2 only a month into its release. Why you see many YouTubers have come out with frustrations, with criticisms, because all of this was so easily avoidable. So guys, I want you to let me know, how often are you still playing Destiny 2? If you left, why? Personally, I don't play that often because I really just don't have the time while studying for exams and making videos, but the current state of everything doesn't really motivate me to make time. At the very least, this is stuff that can be fixed, so I do hope the endgame improves or at least goes back to the way it was. I don't believe there's an excuse for this. Some people say it's because the game is in vanilla and that's why this stuff's missing, but I think that is one of the dumbest things I have ever heard. You're comparing Destiny to itself. It's not a new IP. This is Destiny Year 4. Okay, it shouldn't be looked at like Destiny Year 1 again. And even still, a game should be good when you buy it. It's no different from anything else. Okay, but either way, guys. All right, that's all I've got. So leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.